Alright guys, so I am going to, well, the other day I was just kind of poking around and making sure everything was good and tight, and I noticed that I have a little bit of a coolant drip, and it looks like, from what I can tell at least, I think it's coming from the out coolant line from my AOS. So I am actually going to diagnose that. I actually last night tightened these bolts, repositioned them and tightened them and made sure the hoses were tight, which they were. So I think it actually might be coming from the connection to the actual AOS canister itself. So I'm going to be reattaching that, but then also too I'm going to show you how to burp your engine or your coolant, so that you can make sure that the air is completely out of the system. Just completely make sure that you're you know, as cool as possible, as efficient as possible, which will help with the massive amount of knock that these annoying engines get. So stay tuned and see if we can fix that and burp this bad boy. Alright guys, so to show you just what I'm doing, so I started the car and realized that it's actually the intake for the coolant line going into the AOS that was slightly leaking. So I didn't know if I had the clamp just too tight in general, and if it somehow over the past 6 months just kind of created a little bit of a crack and coolant was leaking through there, or I didn't know if it was leaking from the port itself. So I took my 11 and removed the port, and then rewrapped it, removed the Teflon tape that I had on it, and then rewrapped it to kind of give it like a fresh start, so to speak. And then again, so the hose, I have like extra hose to play with, so I just cut off. Sometimes I do things a little bit too tight. So yeah, I couldn't tell. I don't think it's coming from here, but either way I'll never know, because I corrected it both ways instead of having to do it twice. But so we'll go from there and see. Let's start the car up and see if the coolant stops leaking. I'm just gonna put this back on and tighten it up. Not too tight, but tight enough. Alright guys, so quick voiceover, because again the GoPro decided to just lose all my audio. But just so you know, the AOS is fixed, good to go. I don't know if it was coming from the port or the hose. Just again, like I said, I fixed both at the same time, but it's all good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to burp the coolant. So I'm going to obviously take off the radiator cap. Of course the car is cold. You don't want to take it off when it's hot. I have seen where that shit just explodes and burns people's faces. This kit that I got, I literally got it from Amazon. And you just match up the tops like that right there. That top letter is B. That's like, they actually label it with letters. And so you match it with the B connector, I guess, if you want to call it that, which is going to go into the radiator hose. And then the funnel then goes into that. So, but it sits just like that. It's got the port on the bottom there, so there's no like leaks or anything along those lines. And then, like I said, I'm obviously struggling here trying to hold the camera and use both hands at the same time, but it also comes with extenders too if needed. So, but I actually ended up not needing them. So you'll see here I have it all set up. So that's how your setup's going to look. I didn't use the extension because there was no need to. No weird angles or anything like that. But so I have the red part number B or letter B underneath, and actually there's a gasket. The little gasket in there sits flush in your coolant line there, coolant hose, and then this literally turns on just like your stock one. And then I have the funnel literally just pressed in there. Next, what we're going to do is, so I'm going to fill this to about 1/3 with coolant, and then from there I'm going to turn the car on with all heat turned all the way up, not on defrost. You want it to come through the actual vents, just to make sure if there's any air through the system there as well too, that it gets pushed out. and we're gonna let that run for a little bit, and then yeah, we should be able to see a bunch of bubbles come out, because I have dropped some coolant here and there throughout this transformation. So it definitely needs to be burped. So we should see something after a couple minutes. So as you can see, the car is cold, so it's going to take a couple minutes to warm up. But once we get to that, once it gets warmed up, gets to like the midline between the two markers, we should be able to, that's when we should really start seeing some bubbles come out. So I will, not going to make you guys sit here with me the whole time, but yeah, as of right now, nothing really going, nothing really happening. But I'll turn it back on for you guys when it is. All right, guys. So I guess good news and bad news. It's been about, I don't know, maybe 5-6 minutes. It is hot as hell in that car, and there has not been one bubble. So good news is everything's been good, regardless of the little bit of fluid that I have lost. I did have the hoses clamped, and I did a good job of not allowing air to replace the fluid that was lost. Bad news is that I can't show you guys any of those cool bubbles. So I apologize, but this is basically how you burp your cooling system. Yeah, so I'm gonna finish up here. I'm gonna let it run for another couple minutes just to see. Again, if I catch anything, I'll turn it on for you. But yeah, I guess I got nothing for you. I failed. Ultimate fail. All right, so literally nothing happening. Nothing exciting. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm going to stick this plunger, so to speak, down in here, and that's gonna, capture everything. And then, all right, so car's off. I'm gonna clean this up now. I put the plug in it, and then I'm just gonna kind of wrap that around like that, just to help catch anything. So hopefully I don't spill too much. Look at that, nothing. Sweet. So that's really it. Just gonna take this off, put the original cap on. I'm glad to know that my system is good to go, even with some of the coolant that I did spill. And yeah, man, thanks for tuning in, guys. If you have any questions on anything, I mean, I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, I apologize, but I let the engine run for about 10-15 minutes. I let it run pretty long. So, but if there's any other questions, definitely let me know. I'd love to help out however I can. Thanks, guys.